The following is a presentation of TFNN. Time to talk about your health. Living a primal lifestyle.
You know, we have Tom from Tampa on the phone. Hey, Tom. Good morning. It's bright and early now, huh?
Hey, Paige. Good.
Hi, Tom.
How you guys doing, Nico?
Doing great.
Good. Hey, your newsletter's outstanding, man. I'm telling you, man, it is outstanding. And so is the Primal Edge. I love that stuff. I'd never be without it. I mean, I've been on it now 3-4 months, man. I mean, it's just, I can't get over how good I feel.
Primal Edge is, people are raving about it. People who are trying it, they know because you can feel it.
Would not be without it.
Call now, toll free at 1-877-927-6648. Internationally at 727-445-1044. Now your hosts, Nico DeHaan and Paige Clark.
Good morning, I'm Nico DeHaan. Welcome to Living a Primal Lifestyle, where we explore a return to a more balanced, natural, wild world.
To recover our natural health and regain our rights and our freedoms, I'm Paige Clark.
And it's a beautiful morning in downtown Clearwater, 77 degrees, clear, but we are keeping an eye on the tropics.
That's right. So make sure you subscribe to our Health Signals newsletter.
Brand new one right here.
News you can use hot off the press twice a month, $10 a month.
Starts off with a nice article about why intense workouts are leading to a life-threatening condition we talked about last week.
That's right.
Really
You got to pay attention to all of this stuff. And the nice thing about this newsletter is we link to the sources. It's a very interactive newsletter. It's worth it. And make sure you get some of our Primal Edge daily nutrition to keep you healthy in trying times and all times.
Yes, and it could be trying times coming up because we have a storm. But yeah, interesting, my oldest daughter, Kimmy, called me last night. She read this thing in the Health Signals newsletter, and she says, am I working out too much? She was kind of concerned about it, but I don't think she is, so that's cool. Start off, the number here is 877-927-6648. I wanted to start off with the projection of the hurricane here. Here we see the typical maps that show you some of the courses, and it does look like maybe we're going to have a little problem with that. This one is really cool, though.
Yeah, this Vinteski map is very interesting because it shows the currents, and you can actually click on the coordinates, Nico.
Yeah, so if we go like to the 7th, it's right off of the Dominican Republic. We move to the 8th, it's south of the, well, it's right on the
so let's see what
Caicos
Saturday looks like.
Yeah. Let's see, Sunday.
Oh, I don't like it. It's kind of...
Sunday, it's right at the tip.
Have Miami.
The 11th, it'll go up. Now
Crawl
that's
up
the
the-
automatic. If we go to the European, it shows a little bit different. We're starting off today, and we're going to Thursday, and it goes to Saturday, right over Cuba. Then the 10th, it starts
shows
to
it
go
out.
into Gulf,
It shows it into the Gulf.
and then it shoots up. And this is not a good one for
Not a
us
good
either,
one for us
because
at
this
all.
is most of the winds are out here.
That's the GEM model?
That's the European model, and then we have the GFS, which starts off very similar on, there's Saturday,
Off of Cuba.
Sunday.
Again, Miami. That one looks very similar to the automatic model.
Yeah, so...
Well, folks, it doesn't really matter where the storm is going. What it is a wake-up call that we need to be prepared for this, because there's no doubt that as we see what's going on with our dear souls in Houston, it is a sign that you can never be too prepared.
Yeah.
And, some people think that's like a hush word, like it's silly to prep. I think it's silly not to prep.
Well, I
mean, not that I've been the best prepper, but I'm just, when I look at it, honestly,
yeah,
when things come about, you say to yourself, well, geez, and we're going to cover that. I want to cover that on Thursday because that's what I'm doing, is I'm trying to help people as well as myself learn more about what we can do, because whether it's this storm or another storm or a solar flare, as we talk about, we've become a civilization that does not know how to live a primal lifestyle. After all, what's the name of this show?
yeah. Well, I of course, I've been preparing for this for quite a while, and it may not hit us. It may hit us. We have to, be prepared. So yesterday, my wife and I went to the grocery store and got a lot of fresh food. For usually I do for a week ahead. Now we did for 2 weeks ahead, but I do have about 3 to 4 months of some food, mostly canned meats and things like that, that I always carry and kind of recycle.
Yeah, I do too. I have a lot of those things, but I think it's time to step it up, because I think that with all the threats we have in this world today, this is not being negative, this is being smart.
I think that's true. And, there's an article here about the sewage and stuff. Let me go back out of this.
I have found some really cool sites recently in reading about this that I'm going to bring up, in terms of some of these bacterial, viral, fungal infections that could be, you might be so prepared, but if you fall ill,
that is the key. And all this,
stock,
so the water that's around Houston and everything is like it's full of chemicals, full of E. coli, full of all kinds of different bacteria. But also we have all these chemical plants that are in Texas. I saw some things on the news yesterday. They're talking about all the different kinds of chemicals, from hydrogen peroxide to gasoline to unrefined stuff to cleaning supplies. Imagine if your house is underwater for maybe 3 or 4 feet and stays there for a week. What kind of chemicals do you have in your house?
Exactly. We live in a chemical toxic soup anyways, as a world. And
so
I
maybe
think
preparing for something like this too would be to have some kind of clothing to keep that stuff out. Everybody buy a little dive suit or something like that. I mean, this is really serious things. If you have to wade through water, then you've got a real problem on your hand if that water is toxic. I mean,
yeah, but I don't even think a wetsuit or suit's going to keep it away.
Maybe not.
Yeah, but there you go. I mean, you have to take these times to be critical thinking and do the what ifs. The what ifs are smart steps.
Yeah.
This is what the intelligent person does. They say, what if, and am I prepared?
Yeah, so they said they have the E. coli here. They have all kinds of different things. What do you do? That's the thing. Of course, they say take a bath. Once you're out of this stuff, the first thing you do is scrub down and take a bath. Hopefully there's some...
Yeah, let's go over that,
okay.
Because what do you do? If, as we've seen, the federal government, I'm not seeing as many rescuers in the federal government as I'm seeing the Cajun Navy.
Well, I think
I'm seeing the people. That's what I'm saying.
Yeah,
the local people are the ones that are the heroes.
That's what you have, because it takes a while for everybody to get there and organize. And I think the firemen in your area and things like that are going to be extremely busy with the people who need life-saving types of stuff. So you really have to rely on yourself and maybe your neighbor and some friends, but yourself for sure and your family. We're not in touch with our neighbors like we used to be. We're not in touch with our friends. Our friends may be miles away.
That's
our
right.
family certainly a lot of times.
Yeah, we think all of our friends are on the other side of this.
Yeah, they won't be there. In fact, electronics probably be down anyway. So, these are the kind of things that I think about, and I think it's important to really talk about a little bit of prepping of what are the basic things that we do need. We know that we can go without water only a very short amount of time, maybe 3 days.
Yeah, we're going to cover a lot of that, but on this article here, like you introduced it, what do you do if you find yourself in a toxic soup of water? What after the aftermath of Hurricane Harvey, people are wading through water, and you don't know if it's sediment sludge or it's heavy metals or what is in the water. So what would you do, Nico? Whether you're a responder or a person rescued, he said you want to take a bath with an antibacterial soap. I'm not a big fan of some of those antibacterial soaps, but
this might be the one time.
There might be some times when you want to have those.
Yeah.
Again,
Yeah.
you can make your own antibacterial soaps with essential oils. Remember the thieves' oils; these are what kept people safe.
So this is a good thing to keep in hand. Okay, we'll be right back, folks. So stick around. Reminder that we do have the Health Signals newsletter
that
out
keeps
today.
you prepared how to stay healthy every day.
And you need to pick that up, and of course, pick up our Primal Edge. Very important.
We'll be right back after this break.
Got it. Yes. You know what's cool? Taking something that's good for you. Something specifically formulated to help with weight loss, better sleep, stress reduction, and the need to detox.
Nico, our hunter and gatherer ancestors found all their nutritional requirements for health in their wild environment. But today, our food sources no longer contain the vitamins, minerals, and nutrients our bodies need to stay healthy and strong.
That's why we need Primal Edge Daily Nutrition. It includes a special blend of ionic, soil-based vitamins, minerals, fatty, and amino acids in an easy-to-use liquid form.
Primal Edge is powered by highly concentrated fulvic and humic acids, nature's preferred delivery system. They have been called miracle molecules because, like sunlight, air, and water, life cannot exist without them.
That's right, Paige. They ensure we receive all the nutrition we need to be healthy and thrive. We take it every morning.
Primal Edge, formulated and approved by Nico and Paige of Living a Primal Lifestyle. Buy it today for just $89. Click on the Primal Edge banner on the front page of TFNN.com. Platinum, grains, crude oil, gold, copper, cattle, hogs, gasoline, natural gas, coffee, cotton, cocoa, and sugar. These are just some of the commodities mentioned in the most recent issue of Andy Hecht's Techno-Mental Commodity Report. Andy publishes his weekly newsletter every Thursday morning, where he breaks down the commodity market and provides his subscribers with specific trading recommendations based on his trading methodology. By signing up for a free trial to the Techno-Mental Commodity Report, you'll get a full 30 days to try out this powerful newsletter service and see for yourself the types of trades Andy has recommended for his subscribers. When you sign up for a 30-day free trial, you're under no obligation to pay anything. And should you decide to continue, you will lock in the low rate of only $79 a month. Sign up right now for the Techno-Mental Commodity Report and make sure you're ready to catch the next big trade in commodities. For more information and to get started today, visit the front page of TFNN.com.
Will the S&P 500 continue to climb? For bold trades on U.S. large-cap stocks in either direction, trade SPXL, SPUU, or SPXS. Directions Daily S&P 500 Bull and Bear Leveraged ETFs. Direction Leveraged ETFs. An investor should carefully consider a fund's investment objective, risks, charges, and expenses before investing. A fund's prospectus and summary prospectus contain this and other information about Direction shares. To obtain a fund's prospectus and summary prospectus, call 866-476-7523 or visit directioninvestments.com. A fund's prospectus and summary prospectus should be read carefully before investing. An investment in the funds is subject to risk, including the possible loss of principal. The funds are designed to be utilized only by sophisticated investors such as traders and active investors. Distributor Foreside Fund Services, LLC.
Nico and Paige take your phone calls now. Toll free at 1-877-927-6648. Internationally at 727-445-1044.
And welcome back to the show. So we're talking because of the hurricane coming our way, and this is kind of a little passion of mine too, to be prepared, and that's why.
And that turns me on about you, by the way.
Oh.
No, I really mean that.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I think that being prepared is primal.
Mm-hmm.
It shows love. It shows respect. It shows caring for yourself, your surroundings, and your loved ones.
Yeah.
And that's a real question. Could you and your family survive a disaster?
And without the electronic media and everything telling us these storms, remember our primitive ancestors knew the storm was coming even though they didn't have all these gadgets.
They had that sense. They were in tune.
And when I stepped out of the garage on Saturday morning, I could feel that cooler air. And that's one of the signs that I remember going through these hurricanes quite often, that the first thing you do is the cooler air comes in because everything's being sucked in by that hurricane. So the first thing you kind of feel, and then you see those high wispy clouds up there that you normally don't see.
Right.
And then you look to the southeast and you can see the buildup there. So
see,
those are the things.
That's being in tune, and because there could be a day, especially, we might talk about that on one of our shows, an EMP where there is no electric, there is no grid, there's no news for you to tune in, there's no blonde weathercaster, doing her thing and reading off a telestrator. You're going to have to start using your own.
Yeah, and it's interesting you say EMP because one of the signs of the grand solar minimum, at one point there comes a time when an EMP does come from the sun and we're not protected. It's not only from a hydrogen bomb or anything like that.
Oh, yeah. Hey, speaking of the newscaster, I had to laugh. The reason that came up to my mind is somewhere in my searching there was this news video where the meteorologist girl was showing the 10 new kinds of clouds we have.
Oh, yeah.
Talk about indoctrination. We've got geoengineered weather, and they're going to give us new clouds. They're going to tell the peoples that there's new clouds.
Mm-hmm. Well, with the grand solar minimum, you do see a lot of different clouds, and we see these ones that barrel in.
Yeah, we see a lot of new clouds because of what they're doing to our clouds, or the clouds they're making.
Mm-hmm.
So with 80% of the U.S. population living in an urban environment, how to prepare for a geographic or national disaster, it really should be something that we seriously consider. And, being in a city or suburbia where most of us are actually presents a lot of challenges.
Yeah, the first thing you think of is where do I get food and water if the grid goes down and stores run out of food and water isn't coming out of the faucet.
That's right, because typically people can't last more than 3 days without food. Of course, if you've been watching our show,
Well, you can
you're
last
learning
longer
how.
without food,
Well,
but without water for only 3 days, yes.
Yeah, that's true. Water with it for 3 days, and food, I think they say it's like 17. But of course, we know, those of you that maybe are practicing intermittent fasting and becoming fat adapted, you're getting more primal anyways in your way you handle foods.
And you can handle that. Another question is, how can I power my electronic devices to communicate with the outside world? Well, you really can't unless you have a generator. But then the other side
Aren't there
is...
some solar chargers now?
Well, there are, but then who are you going to connect to?
That's exactly right. We really don't know what's going to be out there. I think getting back to having, a ham radio or shortwave radio.
Ham is a good idea, too.
See, we're
that's for
talking
sure.
about all this stuff, and the average person, including myself, we can talk about all these gadgets or supplies, but do you know how to use them? And that's really something that impressed me. Are you taking the time to become familiar with these survival tools? And further, are you developing survival skills?
Yeah, here's another question. How secure am I and my family if the police are overloaded and they can't make it to my house right away? What will you do if people are trying to raid your home and there are riots and anarchy in the streets? And that's certainly one of the things. If you're living in a big city, more of a concern. If you're living in an urban area, maybe a little less because you have much more property,
There may
more
be
spaces.
no 911, folks. That's what Nico's
Yeah.
saying. And when's the right time to leave town? And when's the right, when
Well,
do you bug
before
out
that-
or when do you bug in?
Before we go to that, how secure I am. So if you're being raided from your house, what kind of options do you have, really? And here in America, we're kind of lucky because we are still allowed to have guns. So I think for the home, maybe suggesting that you buy a shotgun.
You know what, when you say that we're still allowed to have guns, we have an inalienable right to
Yeah.
arm ourselves.
Right,
So,
exactly.
I
That's
don't
what I
even
love
like,
about America.
Yeah, I don't even want to have that dissertation that we could be not allowed. It just makes me crazy. Not that I am actually not a person that loves the idea of guns, but
I've
I
never
don't
owned
ever.
a gun, but I purchased one a couple of weeks ago.
I don't ever want to think I have to use it.
No.
But I
that's the one thing
certainly
you
want to
don't.
know that I can.
Yeah, well, when
Or
my
be with
wife and I
people that
discussed getting a shotgun, Ellen says, well, we'll have it and we'll be secure and we hope we never use it.
Well,
That's-
I think that's the majority of what most gun owners want, and
Yeah.
they want to be responsible gun owners. So, you may have different concerns, completely different about what you're concerned about, whether it be a storm or a pandemic of some type that requires us to leave. For most Americans, we've seen what's happened with Katrina and what happened in New Orleans.
Yeah,
It was really been a wake-up call, and now Harvey and these
So
other
the
ones brewing.
next question is, what if I have a medical emergency and 911 won't answer the phone? So basic skills in some kind of medication. We're kind of lucky. We have a neighbor that's a medical professional. I have a good friend of mine that is a PA, and I have several friends that are doctors, but they are miles away. So do you have any basic skills? I think that's a question we need to ask.
Yeah, all of us should have some basic
and
first aid skills and
yeah.
life-saving abilities.
And then you said, when is the right time to leave town and where do you leave? In other words, if you're living in the Keys, you say, I'm going north, but the storm is going north. I mean, you almost have to leave Florida.
Yeah, if you were that far down, that's right. Well,
Yeah. And which side do you go on? I mean, it's a really dilemma. So the time to leave, I guess, is now for those people.
yeah.
Or hunker down. But, if you're talking a Cat 4 and maybe a Cat 5 in the Keys, I mean, that's I don't want to be there, that's for sure. And last question on here is, how will I purchase items, credit cards, and so on if the cash or the ATMs or
You
the
have to
banks?
assume everything is not working,
Right.
So when you're living in an urban environment, individuals should definitely give considerations to all of these ideas in the event something happens, because any event is going to be magnified when you're in a dense population area.
right.
If any one of these components fail, we can have a problem. And as we know, most supermarkets only carry enough food for 3 days. If a disaster hits your area, people will panic because most people are not prepared, and they'll make a run to the stores, leaving nothing behind. The question is, do you have enough staples for your family to live 1 to 2 weeks?
Yeah, and if you're in those low-lying areas, like many people are in Pinellas County here, if you're living along the shore, you have to go inland. So that means either a hotel or maybe a family friend that's close by, or you do get out of town and you go maybe to the Carolinas, but who knows where these storms go. So it is really a dilemma, and I planned for this years ago when I looked at the maps, and when we came to Pinellas County, I looked at the highest level of property. My property is about 60 some feet
with
above.
Bel Air Bluff, because my house is there too.
Yes.
What's the elevation? 60, 70?
My house is about 62.
Yeah. It is a higher elevation.
It is pretty good, yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, if you look down the hill towards the Intracoastal Waterway, that's a big hill that you have to go up. I remember walking and running up that thing. So,
here's a question. Here's something that a lot of people say. Why should I worry about stocking up? The government will take care of me in emergency. I think that's that's
not.
dangerous thinking.
yeah,
Very
the government's
interesting.
usually 3 or 4 days behind, and they're not in your area. And by the time the National Guard comes, then things are really in dire straits. So, we do have to prepare. So when we get back from the break,
Katrina was a perfect example. I mean, it took several days for the responders to get there.
look at the last one, Harvey. Same thing. And it's not over there because they've got so much water in there.
Yeah, in
So
3
it's-
days, a lot can happen.
That's for sure. So right now, good time to stock up on your Primal Edge, folks. So please do that. It's only $89 a month. It gets it to your door
310 cell-ready nutrients that your cells can use
and while you're
every
at
day.
it, pick up the Health Signals newsletter. Paige and I'll be right back.
Would like to tell you about the personal training studio that Nico is the owner and president of, Performance Training. Since 1998, Nico has trained individuals and groups to improve their health both mentally and physically. As a certified personal trainer, Nico's main focus is on demonstrating exercises correctly to avoid injury and teaching his clients how to manage their past injuries while getting the most out of their personal training sessions. The Performance Training Studio is filled with unique training equipment that enhances balanced results at a faster rate while minimizing damage and discomfort. For more information, you can give Nico a call at 727-418-8740 or email him at nico@tfnn.com. Let him know you heard him on TFNN and save up to $100 on a special package just for TFNN listeners. Act today.
Tiger TV is an exciting way to experience TFNN programming. See high-definition video, giving you crystal clear charts, as well as seeing some of the faces of TFNN's highly acclaimed financial experts with crisp, full-fidelity sound. Catch Tom O'Brien, John Logan, Steve Rhodes, Basil Chapman, Larry Pesavento, Think or Swim, David White, Andy Hecht, and Daryl Martin in crystal clear, high-definition audio and video. Tiger TV, exclusively at TFNN.com.
Has the current market volatility continued to stop you out of trades when the market spikes against you? Now is the perfect time to open up an account with Nadex. Nadex, the North American Derivatives Exchange, is a brand new, completely regulated Chicago-based exchange, and unlike most other exchanges, Nadex allows you to trade directly through them with direct market access when using their completely free trading platform, which also features real-time charts and full customization capability. One of the advantages of trading with Nadex in volatile markets is that your risk is always capped and you have the ability of keeping your trades open even when the market spikes against you. Nadex is completely brand new with a line of unique trading products that are unavailable anywhere else. See how it works at nadex.com. That's NADEX.com. Or click on the Nadex banner on the front page of TFNN.com. Futures and options trading involves risk and may not be appropriate for all investors.
Many of our new listeners have heard about the Tiger's Den, but wondered, what exactly is it? The Tiger's Den is a lively community where professional traders and investors can meet, exchange ideas and information in a comfortable, moderated atmosphere. Hear all of your favorite TFNN shows, plus see all the charts as they happen, live during those shows, and have access to all those charts. You can test drive the Tiger's Den, absolutely free for 30 days. It will greatly enrich your knowledge of these markets. Details on the Tiger's Den are on the front page of TFNN.com. This segment is brought to you by Think or Swim. For more information, just click the Think or Swim banner on the front page of TFNN.com.
Welcome back to Living a Primal Lifestyle. Have you been interested in learning how to prep, but not sure where to start? everyone is starting to think seriously about prepping because prepping is cool and it's smart. It's because it's cool to be smart and be prepared. And really what we want to do is take a look at the possibility of what could happen if you and your family are not prepared, and that leaves you without the basic necessities. So where do you go and what's the next step?
Well, they have this thing called the rule of three. In an extreme situation, the average person cannot survive more than 3 minutes without air,
3 hours without shelter,
3 days without water.
and 3 weeks without food.
Also consider this, after a typical local emergency, hurricane, or earthquake, the infrastructure will more than likely be destroyed or temporarily disrupted while the roads are made safe and for you to drive against. During this time, expect the following.
Yes, these are what you might want to expect. Your normal first responders will be slow to respond.
Yeah, they'll be overloaded, focusing on saving as many people as possible. If a tornado hits the public schools, movie theaters, that's where they go. The greatest good for the greatest number of people. Don't expect supplies and reinforcements to come to serve you and your problems. You and your family might be on your own for a while,
That's
while
right.
large groups are handled first.
That's right. So store enough supplies on hand for at least 3 days. And if water to your house is disrupted, do you have enough water for your family for 2 weeks?
Or more.
That's right.
One of the suggestions...
And you've got to multiply it by the number of bodies you got to take care of, people.
Yeah, that's right. And a good thing to do beforehand, just before the storm comes, fill up that bathtub with water for flushing toilets and things like that. So
And remember
important.
the hidden water that you have in your existing pipes in your water tank. Actually
Yeah.
in your hot water
And
tank
if you have a
and
swimming pool, then that helps too.
But we never know. We could be talking about a situation where there's toxins raining down from the sky, just like there are every day anyways.
Yep.
But your swimming pool water, again, you've got to have purification methods on hand as well.
Yeah, so those bug-out bags that we were talking about during the break, those usually have a purifier in there. They have these neat things called the life straw.
Life straw, yeah, I got
those
one.
are really cool, and you can just dip it into just about anything except salt water, and it will clean that for you.
Yeah, I want to do a shout out to a guy whose channel I think is excellent. It's cityprepping.com. He really focuses his prepping on the average person who's a suburbia or urban dweller. And really nice, he's got an Amazon store set up so you can say, yep, he kind of tells you, you need one of these, you need one of these, you need these bags. And I really think his videos are great. And in fact, I think this is actually coming from his site.
So gas stations will be down, electricity is knocked out.
Hey, you're not going to be able to pump gas, guys.
Right, so keep a container of gas maybe outside in your shed. I think that's probably a good idea. And make sure that you have a generator of some kind so you can
If you don't have a
handle-
shed, isn't gas safe in your garage?
I would never put gas in my garage.
Okay.
Just something I will not do. I'd rather store it outside or something like that. Yeah.
But alongside your house.
Yeah, maybe alongside the house.
Is it supposed to be vented or not?
No.
See, these are the little
Yeah.
things that I'm not so knowledgeable about. I'm going to pick your brain about some of these things. Roadways out of town, you really don't know. And, you made a great point during the break. We're in the state of Florida. You can't really go much left or right. We got water on both sides and heading north. There's going to be a lot of people heading north. Florida's a big state.
And a lot of times they'll open the roads just one way, so both sides of the freeway. So then you have to watch out for the maniacs that are coming south. So it's, if you can stay in one place, that's the real ticket. And that's why I chose the house I did. And that's why over the years, we bought this house over 20 years ago, and each year we thought about, okay, what can we make stronger? So one of the first things we did, these metal doors to the outside, they were all wooden before. So we made sure we had that. Then we wanted to get these double pane hurricane-proof windows. We got these Bahama shutters that always hang down but are easy to close.
Oh, great.
We got these aluminum things that we put over the back. So each year we
What do you
got
mean
a
aluminum things? Like over the sliders, you mean?
Yeah, over the sliders, we have protection there. The pain to put up, but you have to do it. It's
So you
better
have to
than
store them in the garage, and in the event that you need it,
we store them
can-
in the shed. Yeah, and we have things for the front too. Then we got a metal roof a couple of years ago.
Yeah, I remember that when you got your new roof.
Yeah, so slowly but surely we've been trying to keep this house as secure as possible. And of course, if it's a Cat 5 coming to you, I don't know even with doing all that how secure you are.
Well, I'm telling you something. I saw something last night where this guy said this may be a Cat 7.
Yeah, I know people have been talking about that, and I think because of this grand solar minimum, we're talking about much more extreme events coming. They may have to reclassify some of these things where, if you get hurricane sustained winds above 200 miles an hour, that's more than a Cat 5.
No, well, there already is a category for that. I mean, there's a bunch of people talking about
Yeah,
that.
I know.
You're not
That's
going to hear
what I'm
that
saying.
on your
Well, I heard it on
mainstream news.
CNN. So.
Yeah. So water needs to be urban prepping and water. So we wanted to say these are your 2 easiest steps to begin prepping, and this is what everyone needs to be concerned about is what do you do about your water? And water needs to be a first priority. And we know that our bodies are composed of water. We start losing it, and prepping, serious considerations needs to be getting basic water supplies all sewn up.
Yeah, and there's a general rule, 1 gallon per day per person.
Mm-hmm.
That's normally what you need. So if you're doing for 3 days, you have 2 people, that's 6 gallons, pretty easy. If you got a house full of people now that, if your neighbors are coming in and you're helping other people, that's a lot of water you have to keep. So you have to ask them for those things.
That's right. That's right. And, that's not even budgeting water for other things like sanitation. This is purely, but that's a good starting point.
Yeah.
And you've got to remember your pets, too, if you have some pets.
And how do you preserve your water to keep it from going bad? Well, because once you have it in a container, it does go bad, especially if there's bad stuff in it already.
That's right.
So buy distilled water, that helps because that doesn't really turn.
Yeah, distilled water. I store a lot of distilled water because I drink distilled water. I shake it up. I have a little smorgasbord of water that I drink. I drink my Thera H2O water, my structured water, and I have distilled. So water preservation is your friend, and you can buy these little drops that actually do it. The time and energy you have to spend just to make the water drinkable isn't worth the risk.
Yeah.
Take a few steps now so when you need it, your water's ready.
Yeah, and a good thing to keep on hand is some Clorox bleach. You can bleach some of that water, and bleachable water is still drinkable at very low levels. So find out how much you have to do there.
So this guy at City Prepping, he buys these stackable water 5-gallon peat water containers, and he fills them with water, and he changes them out every 5 years. He cleans them, adds a water preservative, and he labels the date on the side so he knows when to rotate
picture
them.
of them right there.
Yeah, see the little ones down at the bottom?
Yeah.
And,
I have these right here, the small ones like that. So
yeah.
I in fact use that on the road. I fill it up with water and keep it on in the car. So that's cool. So besides water, of course, now we talk about some food.
Yeah, so urban prepping and food storage is also important. It can be slightly simpler and easier to implement than the water approach. But do you have a food pantry? Try to organize things a little bit better. Many of us buy 200 items and we only 1 deep on them. And perhaps you need to start thinking about the things that you really eat and stocking up with those.
I agree. One of the first things I bought was this canned bacon that's made by Yoder's. It's really good. They have like, I don't know how many, maybe a dozen servings in one little can. So you buy 24 cans, costs you about $100 or more. But bacon sealed up in can, already cooked.
And
so
we talked about the canned grass-fed butter.
Yep.
Perhaps that would be neat to put, in the next newsletter, put some of your favorite prepping items, that you found, because we're all looking at it. I know that you've already got a list, but this is the whole thing. What can you do to be more organized? You got to put the older cans to the front. You got to date them, get a Sharpie, and make sure you can read the date of your food, and just rotate it out.
Yeah. So there has to be a method to what you're doing, because you do have to recycle this stuff. Usually the food lasts 2, 3, 4, maybe 5 years, some 7 years. So you have to know that ahead of time. Anyway, we'll be right back, folks. Stick around. You know what's cool? Taking something that's good for you. Something specifically formulated to help with weight loss, better sleep, stress reduction, and the need to detox.
Nico, our hunter and gatherer ancestors found all their nutritional requirements for health in their wild environment. But today, our food sources no longer contain the vitamins, minerals, and nutrients our bodies need to stay healthy and strong.
That's why we need Primal Edge Daily Nutrition. It includes a special blend of ionic, soil-based vitamins, minerals, fatty, and amino acids in an easy-to-use liquid form.
Primal Edge is powered by highly concentrated fulvic and humic acids, nature's preferred delivery system. They have been called miracle molecules because, like sunlight, air, and water, life cannot exist without them.
That's right, Paige. They ensure we receive all the nutrition we need to be healthy and thrive. We take it every morning.
Primal Edge, formulated and approved by Nico and Paige of Living a Primal Lifestyle. Buy it today for just $89. Click on the Primal Edge banner on the front page of TFNN.com. Tom O'Brien has just announced that he'll be coming to Boston September 30th for a free workshop, The Art of Timing the Trade. Join Tom O'Brien Saturday morning, September 30th at the Boston Marriott in Burlington, Massachusetts, as he breaks down his trading methodology and provides you with the tools to become a more successful and profitable trader. Everyone that attends in person will receive a free signed copy of Tom's best-selling book, The Art of Timing the Trade, Your Ultimate Trading Mastery System. Daryl Martin from Apex Investing Institute will also be presenting for 90 minutes at this free event.
Hi folks, this is Tom O'Brien. Join me in Boston on September 30th as I return to my hometown for a workshop about the art of timing the trade. I look forward to seeing all the tigers and tigresses for this special free event.
All action starts early at 7:30 a.m. with a continental breakfast and wraps up at about 1 p.m. Topics that Tom will be covering during his presentation include quality volume, cause and effect, ABC structures, swing points, and much, much more. For all the information on this free Boston event taking place Saturday, September 30th, visit the front page of TFNN.com.
David White's newsletter, The Technology Insider, is focused like a laser on finding the next big things in technology. If you had invested only $10,000 in Microsoft in 1986, you'd have been a millionaire by 2000. Disruptive technology like Microsoft's is the key to these massive long-term profits, and the Tech Insider is the vehicle from TFNN to capitalize on these opportunities. This is the go-to newsletter that identifies, monitors, and profits on mostly little-known cutting-edge companies with great long-term prospects. David's experience is as an inventor of Emmy-winning animation products for TV and Hollywood that propelled a company public. Match that with 14 years as a full-time trader, and he's uniquely qualified to guide you through the light-speed world of ever-evolving high-tech. If you're ready to ride the next big technology bull market for less than $40 per month, log on to TFNN.com and get your 2-week free trial to the Technology Insider. Get in on the ground floor of the next big thing today.
Don't forget, you can listen to TFNN live on your mobile device 24 hours per day. Go to TFNN.com, then hit Watch Tiger TV. That's TFNN.com, then hit Watch Tiger TV for the latest market information.
Welcome back. So we're talking about getting ready for natural disasters like the hurricane that's kind of churning up the Florida coast maybe next weekend. So one of the things we often talk about is we don't use canned food generally.
That's right, but there's a time and a place.
Yeah,
and this is the time and this is the place to start making sure you're getting some healthy canned food.
Interesting that I found a couple of places that have really good quality paleo or primal type foods. Mm-hmm. So there are places that you can find this. Most of the food that you find for prepping will be dry storage because it's much easier to keep. Mm-hmm. But however, there are canned foods that you can keep for 7 to 10 years.
Mm-hmm. And there's some great dehydrated fruits and vegetables that you can get that store a long time.
So those are things that you need to do, and you need to have a pantry or some place where you keep this stuff that's relatively cool. So maybe in the center of the house near the air conditioning or away from the air conditioner. We just need
Many people find a closet and turn it into their food storage and prepping closet out of the way. And, don't forget some comfort foods, because in a disaster, comfort foods will help relieve stress to a degree.
So what are some of your comfort foods?
Well,
I mean, I know what they used to be 10 years ago. It used to be potato chips and things,
those are not my kind of comfort foods.
Not anymore, no.
No,
I want something with a little protein and some fat.
It might be some gelatin pudding of some type,
Bone broth.
Bone broth, But then again, many people are storing bone broths and canning. The one thing that I don't do, I did a little canning with my dad a while back, but I want to learn how to can. I mean, because I'm amazed at all the food. I mean, many of these people are canning their own meats. Mm-hmm. So they're cooking their own organic meats, and then they're putting them in their cans.
Yeah, and you always seem to have leftovers, so that's a good time to can them, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
So besides comfort foods, which foods do I eat first in the disaster?
Well, you're going to eat the ones that are perishable first.
Exactly right.
Especially if we don't have refrigeration, guys. This is a really big thing. There are going to be those foods that will go bad first, so you want to grab them.
So first things I think of are foods that you can eat raw.
Mm-hmm.
So that might be some, fish and stuff like that you can eat raw, or if you can still have the ability.
Your fresh foods are going to be the ones you're going to eat first in an emergency, because that's a waste of food if you don't eat them.
And the other thing is the ones that you have to cook, so start cooking them immediately. If the power is going to go out in 12 hours, cook them now and then store them, and then you can reheat them or even eat them cold.
That's where there's an advantage to being actually in a cold climate.
Yeah.
Lots of people, I realize that because I've not really lived up north where, since I've been old enough to pay attention,
Yeah.
but many people start storing some of their food out in the snow.
Yeah.
They
Well,
just,
we
they have
used to have a
box or
cellar.
cooler. Yeah. Well, even if you don't have a cellar, I was visiting family, and they were up in Connecticut, and they bought a bunch of food, and there was a lot of people there, so they were overflowing their refrigerator. So she just had a box outside, and the food was it was cold enough.
Yeah.
So that's a great way to that can be an advantage there. But then again, you got to worry about keeping yourself.
Okay, here's a list of some foods that you can store. Try to store a good balance of protein, fats, and carbs. Don't just get a bunch of canned fruit. Be sure to
Well,
grab
you and I have been talking about that. We know that sardines, any of
Tuna,
those, the tuna, the canned salmon,
And there's
the
a lot of-
oysters, these are high protein,
Yeah.
nutrient dense
Clams,
foods.
yep.
Clams, these are foods that store well. Did you know, like in a little thing of clams,
Mm-hmm.
a little container, I mean, it's very small, very light. I think it's great for packing. There's 25 grams of protein.
Yep.
And I mean, it's like this amount of meat.
Yep.
That's serious protein, in my opinion,
Yeah,
for the
that's for
weight.
sure. Yeah.
For the weight.
And of course, thinking about fuel, I always think about the fat. So adding extra fat. So you mentioned the other day there was canned butter.
Yeah, the
that's a
canned-
great one.
I would say
And
the-
lard is relatively easy to
Yeah, you can buy
keep.
jars of lard. That's
Yeah.
exactly right.
So-
hmm
Where do you store your food and water? Unless the stairs is the strongest place in your home. So that's underneath the stairs if you have stairs. Don't store food in your garage because of the fluctuation of the temperature,
right.
especially here in Florida. Mm-hmm. So.
Well, he always talks about storing in multiple places in the event your home was damaged and you couldn't get to it. I mean, I can see that.
Well, the closet I have is right in the
kinda
center
don't-
of the home. But,
Yeah, don't put all your eggs in one basket kind
Yeah,
of thing.
maybe bury it outside or something. I don't know. But, yeah.
So types of food to consider. You and I were just talking about it. Try and stock easy to prepare food. In the event that it's difficult to prepare a fire, you remember, you're not going to have a microwave. God forbid anyone uses one of those disasters anyways. But, you're going to have to make a fire. And that's the other question. Do you know how to make a fire? I want to go to survival camp.
That's a good idea.
I
Yeah,
think it would be a
everybody
fun.
should do that.
Yeah, I think it's a great idea.
Yeah, you can learn a lot for sure.
Mm-hmm,
And just learning how to start a fire. I remember in camp trying to start a fire when I was in the Boy Scouts. That was one of the things to get your merit badge, and that's a tough one, boy. That's a tough one.
Yeah. They
Easiest
got a lot
thing.
of little tools now.
Yeah, the little tools are really what I used.
Mm-hmm.
Starting a fire with a string and a piece of bark or something like that.
I
Those
just
are
found
tough.
out a great fire starter.
Yeah.
I learned last night. The empty toilet paper rolls. I haven't finished reading it. Maybe I'll share that on Thursday. Everyone throws those away, but you pack those a little
Yeah.
bit, and they become
Good
great fire
kindling.
starters. Yeah, great
Yeah,
little fire starters.
That makes sense.
But this is one thing that a lot of people think of, and we think about not being wasteful, but disposable utensils, plates, forks, spoons, really should be part of your prep. Keep in mind, sanitation may be a serious issue. You may not have hot water. You may not want to waste your precious water. You may want to lighten up as you go. So I think this is an important thing, simply to toss these things in the trash can. So we're going to get into further discussions, and I think maybe next, I think I'd like us to go to talking about first aid. When we get our basic water and our food taken care of, there's really 4 basic first aid skills that every person who's prepared needs to know. And I think that, these are things that we want to do. If this, let's hope and pray that we are more fortunate than our Houston brothers and sisters and this storm passes us.
Well, one thing I like, it is moving rather quickly, so that's if it's going to be an event, at least it'll be moving along pretty
Yeah,
good.
but once it hits land and that's slow it down, and sometimes it kind of builds up. No, it has to
Yeah.
usually go back out to the water to get its strength. So if it goes along these islands, that could slow it down where it won't be quite as strong if it bounces up here to Florida. But we really just have to be careful. But either way, folks, what we're sharing today is not just about this storm. Let's not be the types that we wipe our brow and say, "Whew, we got away with that one," and then we go on with our kind of non-conscious life. We need
Well,
to
that's kind
all
of
become more
what's been
conscious.
happening these last couple of decades on this coast of Florida. They've always just kind of skimmed by us, and we were always thinking.
And we become complacent.
Yeah, and we've been. There's no doubt that we have become complacent.
So let's talk about the medical side and of urban prepping, and this is where you and I really have learned so much in natural healing, and building our serious medical bags, but also our natural healing, our immune building, our
Well,
natural
there's things
medicines.
that we've done in the past that I feel pretty secure that we're going to be all right. In the past 10 years, changing our diet, keeping ourselves really at top physical condition, those are really cool to have to begin this journey. So in other words, now we're sitting at home, now the storm is here, we know we're going to be without electricity for a few days, but physically and mentally we're in pretty good shape.
Well,
That's
I want
a
to
good
get
place
to that. I
start
put an
with.
article about that,
Okay, you
about
did.
are you physically fit
Yeah.
to handle a storm? But we'll cover the medical things that we want to discuss as we opened up when we get back from this short break. Make sure and pick up your Primal Edge. Subscribe to our Health Signals newsletter. Stay in touch here and learn how to live a primal lifestyle.
Yeah, we'll
Your
come
life
back
might
with
depend upon it.
4 basic first aid skills that you need, and that's what we're going to talk about next. We'll be right back, folks.
Hi, I'm Steve Rhodes, host of the Trader's Edge, heard daily at TFNN.com and author of Mastering Probability, a daily investment and trading newsletter service that I send out each morning by 8 a.m. My morning newsletter service covers exactly what the markets have been doing since last night's close, providing you with an edge on your trading day ahead. You get actionable trading ideas, including the exact entry, stop, and profit targets. Plus, I'll teach you the patterns and hidden market correlations that will make you a better trader. As a subscriber, you'll gain access to my 90-minute money management workshop, where I'll teach you the secrets that'll save your assets. The bottom line, I've got your back, including a 30-day money-back guarantee. See for yourself the type of analysis I provide each trading day by signing up for Mastering Probability today. With nothing to lose, this is an offer you should not pass on. Mastering Probability can be found under Trading Newsletters on the front page of TFNN.com.
If you're an active trader looking for that extra edge when it comes to trading and investments, then now is a great time to get a 2-week free trial to Tom O'Brien's daily market letter, Market Insights. Tom O'Brien's daily newsletter, Market Insights, comes out every market day at around 9:30 a.m. and provides Tom's daily commentary on the broad market, including the Dow, NASDAQ, and S&P, plus specific trade recommendations. There's even an update published most afternoons to keep you informed about the day's market activity. He'll give you the entry price, price target, and stop price of each stock and option trade. With Market Insights, there's nothing left to guessing. For all the details and to get your 2-week free trial to Market Insights started today, visit TFNN.com.
No matter where you're listening to TFNN programming, you can always access your favorite shows on demand through TFNN.com. TFNN airs live programming every market day from 8 a.m. till 6 p.m. Eastern, and you can view each program by accessing Tiger TV through our homepage. We even have an easy link for all mobile devices, including iPhones, iPads, and Android devices, located in the top right-hand corner of the TFNN homepage. You can use your smartphone to view Tiger TV, but if you don't have a connection that can keep up with streaming live video, then you can simply visit TFNN.mobi in the browser of your smartphone for live streaming audio of all our programs. The mission of TFNN is to educate our audience directly and interactively through our interactive website and call-in talk shows. TFNN is able to teach all levels of investors the technical skills needed to trade in today's marketplace. In order to get the best information possible, TFNN has assembled the most respected financial minds in the country to provide the most current news and comprehensive advice available. TFNN.com. Educating investors. Up next, 9 before 9 with John Logan on TFNN.
And welcome back to the show. They're just showing in the chat room that Irma is now 175 Cat 5. Yeah.
Yeah, guys, you know, this is serious, and that's what we're talking about, and we're going to continue this discussion on Thursday. This is a chance to be prepared, and if any of you guys have some ideas or information, talk to us in the chat room. This is important stuff. So medical and urban, in the urban setting is important, and we need to have basic medical supplies and the skills and knowledge to deal with a life-threatening injury. It could mean the difference between someone surviving and not.
Yeah, so the first thing you need to learn is to be able to establish an open airway and conserve a heartbeat. So these are first aid skills that you may or may not know, but this is something that, as a personal trainer, I've gone through CPR training quite a few times. And interesting how it's changed over the years, but the good part of it is it's actually made simpler each time, it
Folks,
seems like.
there are first aid classes you can take in your local community, but better yet, guys, while the grid is still up, while we still have access, go to YouTube. Make sure you could save a loved one in the event that something like this happened. Because remember,
establishing an open airway, the first thing to check is an unconscious person to make sure that the airway is opening. You simply lift the chin.
Right.
And there's a video here, which I'll put in the next newsletter.
Right. I think this is important. We can connect some of this without going into the details on what they need. But opening the airway and then doing cardiopulmonary resuscitation, or CPR, is a technique for getting the blood flow to deliver oxygen to the brain and the vital organs.
It's a simple technique that gives the victim a fighting chance until the ambulance comes, let's say.
Well, and again, we have to realize that in the event of a catastrophe, there may not be an ambulance or a road to do it. So it really will be up to you and the people you're associated with to provide this care.
So if you don't have time now to get a class scheduled, there's plenty of YouTube videos on this, and it's a good idea to, with a family member or a friend, to practice some of these things, because it takes a little getting used to. But once you've done it a few times, then you can feel confident to do it in the open emergency.
Number 2 is to learn how to stop bleeding. You know, minor cuts, typically these can be controlled by applying pressure for 10 minutes and bandaging the cut to help the body form a clot. Be sure to cleanse the wound with running water. Ensure you're using fresh bandages and gauze to wrap it. Proper hygiene is important when we're dealing with these.
Yeah.
And
in my bug-out bag, there's this little powder that you can get for emergencies that you just sprinkle on a wound.
well, guess what that is?
I don't know what it is, but it
Cayenne
stops.
pepper.
Oh, it is? Okay, good.
I don't know if it is or not.
It may.
But cayenne pepper is a lifesaver. It's cayenne pepper. It will stop bleeding. It will help clot.
I'm sure it is. It's that color, so
However,
that's probably what it is.
You can mix it in water. Someone's starting to have a stroke or heart attack, and perhaps save them from having life damage. It is actually can prevent damage of clotting in a stroke. Cayenne pepper is intelligent.
Wonderful.
It knows whether to clot or unclot.
Yeah,
I would have
awesome.
cayenne pepper in your medicine cabinet.
Yeah, I certainly have it in my spice cabinet.
And that's interesting for your medicine cabinet that
Yeah.
you found that, though. I'd be interested to look what's in it.
I'm going to look
Will
when
you
I
let
get
me
back.
know when you get
sure,
back?
Of course, yeah.
So,
Trauma.
guys, I think this would be a super one to put into the newsletter for our subscribers, really everything in one place to kind of get caught up on CPR. If there is trauma involved in heavy bleeding, it's important that you have a tourniquet.
Yep.
There may be more aggressive approaches. The sign of blood can often shock other people in your group, so be aware this is going to be a situation where you're going to need to stay control and be well trained.
Yeah, and the training is really key. I remember years ago, my son was bitten by one of my friend's dogs and had his lip split open. So we took him to the doctor, and I'd been in emergency rooms before, and I've actually helped in a couple of odd cases. So I said, let me get in here. And because it was my son, as soon as they started working on him, I felt faint. I didn't fall down, but I had to go sit down.
I remember my
And it was just because the closeness of the relationship.
when you see the blood from someone that you love. Yeah, my brother, was like a little kid and busted his chin, and my mom wanted to go to the hospital. My dad says, "I'll go," and then my dad passed out. That was
Yeah, so that's kind of what happened to me too. So you need to really look at this stuff, and we don't have enough time to go into the rest of it, but plenty of stuff will be in the newsletter. Of course, you can look online and get that too.
We'll
Thanks for
see
sticking
you on
around.
Thursday.
Yeah,
we'll
continue this.
being prepared.
Bye-bye, folks.
Since 1984, Basil Chapman has been using the Chapman Wave methodology to advise traders of his expert market opinion. While originally hand-drawing charts from the late 1970s into the 1980s, Basil noticed that prices under most circumstances virtually always had a certain number of legs to the upside before declining sharply. Later, Basil found that computer software, which included the standard market technical indicators, enhanced the degree of accuracy in calling price turns as well as market trend calls. Thus was born the Chapman Wave sequence. Using the Chapman Wave methodology along with other indicators, Basil Chapman advises his subscribers of his expert market opinion each market day with his opening call newsletter. Right now, you can get a 2-week free trial to the opening call, Basil's daily trading newsletter, by visiting the front page of TFNN.com. Cancel at any time during that trial and pay absolutely nothing. Get your 2-week free trial to Basil's newsletter, The Opening Call, today by visiting TFNN.com.
You're watching Tiger TV.